It's time for Did You Watch It?
How does this show work? We watch what we like, we talk about what we watched, and maybe you'll like what you hear. I'm Liz.
And I'm Neil. Last night we watched episode 2 of The Amazing Race, season 24. The show aired on Sunday, March 2nd, 2014. Here's what we thought about it. This episode for me kind of reinforced the fact that the producers are really trying to cut their costs.
Really? What makes you think that?
Well, they're still in China, and they didn't leave China for the entire episode.
Oh, so in an episode, typically they're in multiple countries?
Well, typically what happens is if they start in one country, historically, what they would have done is at the beginning of the next leg, they would have made their way to the airport in order to go to another either area or to another country altogether. But the fact that they pretty much stayed where they were just, I guess, illustrates to me that they're really trying to cut costs. That was one, and I will get to the other obvious change from the early days a little bit later. The first stop on this leg, they had to make their way to Chen Clan Academy, where they were supposed to watch and wait for the master to give them their clue. So I guess they were supposed to stand and watch the students doing their morning constitutionals.
Yeah.
And
so was that Tai Chi? It looked kind of like what I've seen as Tai Chi.
I am not an expert in the martial exercises and or arts.
You're not?
No, I am not. But it looked a little fast to me to be Tai Chi.
Okay. It was beautiful, whatever it was.
Yes, I do.
I loved it.
I do remember there was one of the earlier ones, one of the single-digit seasons, where there was actually a stop in China that involved them interacting with some people doing Tai Chi exercises near the water.
Oh, wow. Were they supposed to do it with them or something?
No, they were supposed to find the people that had the clue. There were 50.
Oh, my gosh.
50 people doing Tai Chi, and they had to go to them and ask them if they had a clue.
Okay, sort of like the band in the first episode.
Exactly, except they didn't find the ones that had the clue and then drag them to someplace else.
Exactly.
In order for them to move on. So
yeah.
It was very sedate.
I was very calm at that point in the show.
Yes.
It did not stay that way, however.
No, it does not.
Oh my gosh.
As evidenced by Jet and Cord, who immediately decided that they weren't going to wait necessarily to find out where the place was. They were just going to take off in a general direction and start running. Yeah.
That was kind of weird because although one of them did say, he asked that first guy, can we just go? And I thought he pointed in a direction, so I don't know if that was just them following what the guy had said or if they just decided to...
I don't know, but somewhere in the discussion, because I did see the text down at the bottom of the screen, he did say that it was 50 kilometers away.
Oh.
So I guess they had a nice little jog ahead of them.
Yes. A little bit.
A little bit. So
yeah.
Most of them found some people who were a bit more helpful than the people that Jet and Cord and Brenchell found.
Thank goodness.
And I hate even saying the name Brenchell, but...
Yeah. Me too.
I figure if they went to the expense of having sweatshirts made, then we should at least acknowledge that.
Exactly.
So, Courtney and Jennifer, I think their names are.
I don't know. I'm sorry, but the blondes.
The country singers?
The blondes. The country blondes.
The country blondes. There was an interesting moment, and I don't know if you caught it, but they were basically talking about how much they flirt in order to get the things that they want.
Oh, totally! I mean, yeah, I totally caught that, but it was just so annoying to actually hear girls admit that.
Yeah, but what was even more telling, what one of them said, and I quote, "We're not boy crazy, we flirt with everyone. We flirt with each other."
That's right, she did say that.
And then the other blonde shot her this look that basically said, "Shut up, no one's supposed to know." And so she had to clean it up with, "We flirt with life."
Oh, really?
I'm saying...
Okay, so you're saying you think there's something between them.
I'm saying that anything's possible. And I'm going to leave it at that.
I did not pick up on that.
Obviously, the flirtation did not help. Because they ended up getting to the Academy second to last, but Jet and Cord were actually the last ones there. So they were the first ones out, but the last to arrive. The roadblock was kind of like at this Chuck E. Cheese on steroids.
Okay. That place, I could not have stayed in there for more than 2 minutes.
It was called E-Day Town, and it's basically, this huge playground for little kids, and what the teams had to do, it was a roadblock. So one of them had to build a toy electric car straight out of the box, but the instructions were in Chinese.
Yes, of course they were.
So Dave and Connor and Margie and Luke were the first to arrive, and apparently Margie has a history with building and the whole mechanical thing.
Yeah, she totally does. And when they did the flashback, I remembered which season it was that I saw. I think it was season 14, because when they showed her making the propeller, I totally remember that. Yeah, she was awesome. I mean, she put that thing together. It was like wham, bam, 1, 2, 3, it was done.
Very cool.
So she did really good on the car, I thought.
I guess the best performers at the roadblock, according to my calculations, were Mark and Mallory, because they actually picked up 4 spots, because they arrived 5th, but they actually finished first.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about it that way. Huh.
Which we find out doesn't guarantee the best of outcomes later, but it was a respectable showing on Mark's part for being able to put the car together.
Totally. Mm-hmm. But what I love about this game, and I'm finding this out really quickly, is it really doesn't matter until the very end what you do and how fast you do it, because it's anybody's game, as we saw tonight.
Yes, it is. And that's one of the things I like about it. There's just kind of this, nothing's really set in stone. Anything could happen, and it typically does. And
everybody
so far,
has a chance, which I think is really cool.
Physical tasks that have to be done yet. So
other than a bunch of running.
Other than a bunch of running, but once again, that's nothing for the race, because it's a race.
I know. I'm just and the whole carrying the car over your head as you're running. Oh my gosh.
One thing went on here that I was not a big fan of, and that was the whole Jennifer flirtation with, I think it's Cord.
Yeah, don't even get me started. That was just...
Well, please, get started, because that's why we're here.
Okay, that was everything most women can't stand in other women, which is manipulation. And so Cord, from what I could tell, is just a straight-up kind of guy. What you see is what you get. So I felt like he was totally getting pulled into this he was under her spell. He didn't stand a chance.
I think more than anything, because they really had a problem even having that second express pass to begin with.
The boys, you mean the Cowboys? Yeah, it was an uncomfortable place to be.
And so they just kind of gave it to the first team that
made an attempt. Because nobody else even made an attempt at that point. So having not really seen the whole express pass thing or whatever, I just found it interesting that it was on. She was relentless, and she just kept, playing to his sympathies. And wow, I was like, girl,
Really? Yeah. I mean, the only thing missing were dollar bills, but that's another story in itself.
Right?
Props to Megan. I did make a note. Quote, as a girl, it's important to do stuff on your own. Playing that I'm weak card, it's kind of a slap in the face to all girls.
I sort of liked that. I didn't sort of like it. I really liked it. So
no, I liked it a lot.
So Megan...
It was absolutely true.
Gets a giant thumbs up from me.
On the side... I am currently watching the first All-Star event, which is season 11.
Oh, okay.
In that season, Dustin and Candace, this was another pair of blondes who were, if I remember correctly, were former beauty queens.
Oh, wait. I think that might have been one of the seasons that I watched. I don't know. That sounds familiar.
They were in season 10. And they were relentless.
Really?
Okay.
Like with the flirtation?
They were absolutely relentless. In the first few legs, they tried to use the whole feminine wild thing.
Oh my gosh.
But it didn't last long.
Really?
Because everybody pretty much caught on to what they were doing. And just the whole dynamic of that group, it wasn't working for them. So they just basically turned into really competitive, really cutthroat, and it worked for them.
Wow. So you mean the other competitors caught onto their game?
The other teams just wouldn't let them use their hair color to
manipulate
to their advantage.
But did they use that stuff with the people that were in the countries where they were, or to find clues or do any of that stuff? Or
oh crap, yeah. oh yeah. And so what the competitors then had to do was they had to take the car that they built and they had to get it to the Gwangju Children's Cultural Center.
Yes, which was really cool.
Where they would get their next clue.
Yes.
Big problem here.
With?
Mark and Mallory left first. Mark carried the car to the cab.
Yeah.
Mallory carried the backpacks.
Okay, so we got a lot to talk about in this particular thing. Because I thought I remember him saying, "Can you grab my backpack?"
Yes.
So pretty much from my perspective, and I don't know if you agree or disagree, but from my perspective, since he was taking care of the car and putting the car in there, her responsibility was to take care of his backpack.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
Good. I'm glad we agree on that, because
I absolutely agree.
The whole "it wasn't my fault" thing, all of that.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I'm sorry, but it was your fault.
Yes, it was your fault. I have it in my notes. I have her quote. "It was not my fault."
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
Exactly.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was absolutely your fault. I can't say that enough.
Know. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree.
I can't say that enough.
Yeah.
Because I was having problems with her last week on the Ferris wheel.
Yeah, I was too.
And it just went downhill from there.
But I gotta say, what he said about her was kind of true. That she just kind of disregarded him through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which I thought, the whole premise of having a teammate is that you work together, right?
Yeah.
So it was interesting that she was even kind of trying to blame him, essentially, to say, "It was not my fault. You left your backpack, and what do you need it for?" And he's like, "I need my medicine, or I need whatever." Of course, it's his backpack. That's all they're going to have for the entire length of the show.
And here's my thing. If this was the 9th leg, or even the 10th leg, I could see making that argument, okay? But the fact that this was only leg 2, and there was still 23 days left, and you're depending upon the good fortunes and the good natures of the people whom you are racing, for $1 million against to provide you with clothes.
Well, it's not only that, but it's his medication, it's his clothing, it's all of his possessions.
Well, according to her, she had his passports, she had his medicine.
But honestly, I think it was probably more medicine than just that, don't you?
It probably was. We're just speculating at this point.
We're speculating. But her whole thing, you got to know, if situations were reversed and that was her backpack, she would have wanted... She
would have dragged that taxi driver, thrown him in the car, and just pointed.
Absolutely.
And said, "Go back the way you came."
Of course you would have. So I was really kind of miffed by that, because she was asking him to essentially give up everything that he brought with him and just go on faith and trust that she would get him through the rest of the race. And I just, I absolutely...
After having done nothing to earn that faith and trust.
Exactly. So I wholeheartedly agreed with him on this, and I was just so heartbroken when he said something to the effect of,
"I miss Bopper."
That too. But when he said, this is all I have, she has means. He was saying, she has means, and she can do this and she can do that. I don't. This is all I have. So that just really touched me, and I felt really bad for him. And even more so, I wanted her to just back off at that point.
So then they made their way to the detour.
Yeah.
After dropping the car off, and they had a choice between playing a little game of featherball or doing Cure.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of this before?
Yes, I have. I was a little surprised that nobody went for the cure.
Right? But I gotta tell you, it's painful.
Okay.
It's hot. Like, when you see that, the cups, what they call it, cupping, when you see that on their backs, it's bright red. So
well, she was just passing the flame in there just to heat the air.
But when it's on your skin, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be down for that either. But I'm so uncoordinated. I don't know if I could have done the feather ball either.
Yeah, thank you. I'm realizing that they actually had to do 10 passes in a row, not total.
Exactly. And they had to do that 10 times, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it didn't count when the other two people with them when the other two people touched it?
Only when the teammates touched it, they had to count 10?
Only when the teammates touched it that it counted.
Okay, so that's even worse. Because that was...
I'd have taken the hot cups.
I would have too at that point.
So Dave and Connor finished first. The country singers finished second.
Shockingly, with their feminine wiles.
And, yeah, exactly.
Can
Marjorie and Luke finished third.
Ass?
Oh God!
I'm sorry.
It just set women back 150 years. That's all I got to say. So once they finished there, they went to the pit stop, which was located at the Shamian Island Promenade.
Yes.
And I guess they were going for a new record to see how many teams they could pack on the mat at once.
So this was another thing that I kind of need to revisit since my earlier viewer days. So everybody has to fit on the mat?
No.
Okay.
When the team arrives, both players have to actually touch the mat. They have to step on the mat.
Okay. So it wasn't like all of the teams had to try to fit on the one mat at the same time.
No. They were literally... They turned the mat into a clown car, basically.
Okay.
And they wanted to see how many teams they could get on the mat at once.
Okay.
And I think they finally stopped at 7.
Yeah. It was a little much.
Which is a little much for me.
Yeah.
On the way to the mat, Courtney is basically saying assembling a car is a guy's thing. Trying to justify the seduction to get the express pass. And it's like, I'm sorry. As long as you think it's a guy's thing, then yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm kind of split on the whole thing because you know how much of a girly girl I am. So I'm not super resourceful.
Okay.
But I don't know if I would go so far as to manipulate and try to do all that to get out of something.
Right.
So
See, but then it goes back to this argument that I've used on our other show.
Okay.
This is season 24, all right?
Of Amazing Race?
Of The Amazing Race. This is season 24.
Yeah.
You know you're going to be putting something together.
Exactly.
Okay, so get your ass to IKEA and practice.
Exactly.
Because it's coming.
Yes.
You know, it's not an
and
if.
a whole lot of running around.
Yeah, it's not an if, it's a when.
Yeah, exactly.
And it needs to be approached in that manner. Brenchell ended up coming in first for the first time ever, according to them.
And, of course, Rachel had to cry.
Yes. Not her best look, and I will leave it at that.
Yeah. I don't know anybody who looks good crying, personally.
Margie and Luke came in second, which is very cool. And
she rocks, by the way.
Yes, she did.
I love her.
She was hardcore. And,
I'm telling you.
And the country singers came in third, to my dismay.
Yeah, to mine as well.
Here's the other point that kind of demonstrates just how tough times are.
Okay. You mean budget-wise for the show?
Budget-wise for the show.
Okay.
When Brenchell landed on the mat, they were told that they won $2,500 each.
Yeah, okay, so that surprised me because I didn't know you could win stuff, like, along the way. So there's cash.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so there's cash along the way.
Cash trips. Before, when once again, I don't know if Travelocity is still a major sponsor, but in the past, Travelocity played a huge role in the awarding of prizes for the first to arrive on a particular leg.
Really? So they got cool trips and stuff?
Yes, they got cool trips, they got cruises, they got resort stays, they got,
I love it.
Right. But the thing is that, back in seasons 8, 9, 10, back when I was watching, you came in first. It was like, $10,000 a person.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yes. Now it's only $2,500.
This was a big switch.
Yeah, this is post-economic crisis numbers.
Unfortunately.
We have to say goodbye to Mark. I really don't mind saying goodbye to Mallory. I really don't mind.
You know what? I hate to say it, but I don't mind either, because she really pissed me off in this episode.
Yeah.
I didn't like the way she treated Mark. I didn't like the whole thing.
Yeah.
He's such a sweetheart, and she just really wasn't willing to own her stuff, which, yeah. I'm not down. Can we just give an honorable mention to the Bicker twins, who I missed immensely during this episode? I
missed them too, only because Mallory really got on my nerves that bad.
Yeah, exactly. You'd rather be unnerved or whatever by the Bicker twins.
Yes, you know how I am about conflict, and I wouldn't have minded the two of them going at each other. I minded Mark and Mallory going after each other.
Because it just was weird. It was
she was totally
I don't know.
wrong.
It was kind of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Napoleon complex.
It was just mean. I'm looking forward to the next countries and seeing where they go.
I would like them to get out of China. I've had enough.
Yeah. Yeah. So I noticed they're not eating. Or did they just not show them eat?
You mean like as part of a detour? Or
as part of the day. They're just doing a lot of running and a lot of figuring stuff out.
Well, when they arrive at the pit stop, they do get fed.
They do? Okay.
Yes. See, the thing is, they're at the pit stop for, it's a mandatory 12-hour layover.
Oh, okay. So they get to rest, they get to regroup, they get to eat.
Exactly.
Cool.
That's our time for today. You can follow us on Twitter at @DidTheLetterU_Watch_It. You can also find us at iTunes. Let us know what you think. Thank you for listening.